We'll talk a little bit about setup, we'll talk backswing, and then kind of most importantly, downswing follow through.
Sure, absolutely.
So let's dig in, man. Let's talk setup pieces first.
Yeah, absolutely. Setup, driver, ball position, key. All right, ball position key. It has to be forward. Opposite the left foot, middle of the left foot, left heel, left toe. We see that whole spectrum on tour, which is fine.
Forward.
Forward, yes, yes. Ball forward, head back. And kind of we had a simple thing where it's like, okay, take your right hand, just touch the side of your right knee. Boom, that keeps your head back far enough. And as you said, it kind of gives you a sense that, boy, I can square my shoulders up.
Yes.
Okay, because a lot of times people get the ball so far forward that they move this way to get the club up there.
I think two things you showed me that I think are super awesome and easy feedback in terms of someone taking their setup position, right? Number one is if I just laid something down in line in terms of my ball position, and I had that somewhere in my left foot.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
But have the ball forward enough is part one. And then Marty had a really cool little feel here where when I take my setup, I know I need to have some tilt to help hit up to maximize distance. And how do I know how much tilt that I need to have? Really simple check. When I take my setup position, put my right hand on my leg, and I just reach down until my fingertips are about with my kneecap.
Correct. Yeah.
And now this is the amount of tilt that I have in terms of my shoulder tilt versus being straight up level, right?
And inherently that keeps you a little further behind the ball with your head. And as we'll see with the measurement of the left shoulder at impact, that's going to be the key feature of impacting a driver versus an iron.
Yeah, and to kind of give them a little bit of a key or tease earlier, keeping the shoulder and the head back behind the ball more is a common theme. It's one of the non-negotiables, right?
And I think a lot of people misinterpret that they want to stay behind the ball with an iron, and they don't.
Right, exactly.
It's like, no, you're actually going to be, different ball position, different, we're hitting the ground with one swing, we're not hitting the ground with another. So, there are a lot of differences between an iron swing and a driver swing.
100%. And if we want to maximize these things, the non-negotiables, ball position forward.
Yep. Slight amount of tilt. Yeah, exactly.
And then kind of the rest of the stuff, maybe a little secondary. We might want to have a little bit of a wider, maybe have the right foot back.
Yeah, you can. I always tell people, if you want to widen your stance, widen your right foot with a driver.
Widen the right foot. So, three simple things for your address position to maximize angle of attack, hit the ball farther, and potentially start to add some speed. Ball position, tilt, feet width, simple.
Absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about the backswing piece that might be involved with maximizing driver distance.
Okay. Once you take your setup, basically I like seeing the top part start to turn before the bottom part. And then the net change to the wrists from address to about waist high being minimal or zero. Like I don't want to see any wrist cock, I don't want to see any wrist roll, any of that stuff. So really the net change is going to be nothing. And because the top of you is turning, your arms get moved. Once we get the shaft about parallel to the ground, that's when the pelvis can start to turn more, and that'll help to increase the shoulder turn. As that's happening, the right arm kind of pulls the left arm up and back. And now,
well behind the ball.
Yeah, and you got plenty of width, you're behind the ball, you're loaded, which is key. Let's do that again, because one of the key measurements that I'll make from a face-on view is that if your hip is starting here, that at the top, will have moved a little bit inside of that point, or about a ball width or thereabouts, while retaining a little bit of knee flexion. You'll feel how your hip and the inside of your leg loads.
Yeah, I'm not going this way.
Correct. That's key.
And I like what you said there, as I do my takeaway, the arms and hands move because my upper has moved.
Yeah, right? So if I turn my clavicles, which then my shoulders get turned, well, my arms then move because they're connected.
Right.
So so many people do the exact opposite. They move the club first.
No body.
And
So it's not a this.
No.
Right? It's a body driven.
Yeah.
Right. My chest turns, and we're probably going for something like 30-degree chest turn, 15 hips at first.
Yeah, the ballpark, that would be good. That would be good. And then the hips start turning more, and that allows the shoulders to turn actually beyond 90 degrees.
And I got to tell you, even they're loaded up. Part of my issue with my swing is I tend to not get enough turn on the way back. Really feeling the upper body turning a little more than my lower early.
Yeah.
Right. And initiating that feels like from here, that feels wide and powerful for me.
Right.
And that feels like I'm able to get me turned and back behind the ball more than normal.
Yeah, if you turned both your hips and shoulders at the same rate, so if I turn 30 and 30, I'm not getting the wind up that I really want.
And that's what I run into, right? Initiative, I sometimes just get everything going at the same time. Let me hit one with that even here early. So even just maybe the first couple of pieces, my ball's forward, I've got tilt, my hands kind of down to my kneecap, right? My feet are a little wider than normal. I'm going to feel my chest early, and then my sort of pelvis later, and I feel well behind the ball, which I want to. Let's just go ahead and do one of, but two, I don't feel well behind the ball like this.
Right.
I feel centered.
Correct.
Behind it.
Correct.
Right? Okay, I feel centered behind it. So here's me. Let's go ahead and feel one of those and hit one. Cool, and that felt really solid. And I went a little left there, but that for me, in terms of speed and power and distance, felt good. Let me do one more of those. Just the backswing part. And I think that's a key point. When I say behind it, and we say behind it, I'm starting behind it with tilt. I'm turning relatively in the middle myself. My hips staying inside that line. But my head's well behind it.
Correct.
Right? Okay. So same sort of thing, kind of chest turning width early. Felt good.
That's pounded.
And so that would be kind of the main backswing piece. Now there's also more to the story, right? There's downswing and follow through. Let's dig into those next.
Absolutely.
What do I need to be doing here? What's kind of my goal, right? And what do I need to be doing during the downswing follow through? So if I take my normal setup and I get all the way kind of up to the top the same way, right? As I work down, am I going forward? Am I staying back?
So here's the key. Because the shoulders are already tilted, if I just kept the top 3 vertebrae there, and I said, okay, lower your left shoulder and your left hip. There starts the turn. Okay, and now continue to turn. And what'll happen, because this isn't moving, the shoulder by the time you get to the ball will actually be moving up. And we have now just increased the amount of tilt to the side. All right, without the head moving forward. Because watch, as soon as the head moves forward, the amount of, now you still have forward bend, you're going to hit down on it, and there's your pop up and your low liner.
So it almost feels to me, Marty, like I'm turned behind it well, almost like there's a wall. Kind of my head and my left shoulder back. And I'm kind of staying on that, right? As I'm turning. Staying back.
And now you should have enough pressure here to literally just push off as you are hitting the ball. You got it.
So if I were to really phase this like step 1, step 2, step 3, let me try one more.
Okay.
I would have the ball position forward. I want to repeat this enough so that this sinks in as everyone's watching and practicing this. Ball's forward, hand down my leg for tilt, right, feet are wide. I feel as though I have a good amount of kind of chest turn early. Hip turn late. I feel like there's a wall on the left side of my head and my shoulder. I'm turning, but I'm staying on that. And then I'm working up and kind of staying back. Right? Let's go ahead and try that. So my feels are going to be big turn behind it, and then sort of staying behind it to kind of keep it overly simplistic. Big turn behind it, good setup, big turn behind it, just kind of stay behind it in early transition. Let's go ahead and give one a rip. Big turn, stay behind it. And that for me feels excellent. Now I feel as though when I do that, I have to tweak some of my kind of follow through stuff, which is me specific, but that when I'm coming down, I got the big boy tee, feels like I'm able to generate power and hit up on the ball really easily. Right? Let me do one more and then we'll talk follow through. So good setup, ball's forward, good tilt. I'm going to go kind of big chest turn early, turn behind it, stay behind it. Let's go ahead and neutralize that. Turn behind it, stay behind it. And that's better. And so some really simple things for people to do to maximize the driver, but there's also follow through pieces, right?
Correct. So I think it's important. We talked about turning without shifting or sliding or doing any of that. And so kind of the way I tell people to do that, take your shaft and just hold it right across the top of your kneecaps. And now I have 3 simple rules for turning. You're going to turn 45 degrees toward the target with, this is important, with knees bent, with level knees. So I don't want to see one knee go lower than the other, because if the pelvis tilts, now I'm going to have back pain. Okay, so knees bent, level, and about the same distance until I turn about 40, 45 degrees. Okay, so that heel's gonna have to come up just a little bit. There we go.
Like that.
And now you've got enough pressure here. Remember how we had you throw the punch?
Yeah.
You want to feel like you're, okay, now I'm into the ground. So that kind of maximizes how much pressure we're putting into the ground, so now I can use the ground to push off.
So the piece about the upper body starting back, staying back really helps angle of attack.
Yeah.
This would really help the speed component.
Well, it'll help the speed, and if I just remember, okay, if I'm like that, and remember how we increase the tilt by touching, you might need to touch your calf now for this, all right? Yeah. But now I've got the tilt with the turn, which is going to add to the speed.
Ideal. So I want to get this across my knees. I want to turn with them bent, with keeping them level.
And level. There we go.
And so I feel like my kneecaps towards the target.
Yeah, and now you can push off the back foot. Yeah, so if you're here and you just shift, well, boy, you're not really in a position to turn, and what else is moving forward? We don't want the head moving forward.
Yeah, the shift is tough. It's so easy to see during the backswing for people. If I shift this way and don't turn, I never get turned.
Right.
It's really easy to see on the well.
Yeah, exactly.
And the same thing applies on the way through.
Two kind of key things that I'm looking for, and we've talked about this in other videos. At about waist high, I want to make sure that your radius is maxed out. Yep. And then I think an important note, especially if you're a parent of a junior golfer, let their feet move. Let them spin, let them move. I get so many parents coming to me, aren't you going to fix their feet? And I'm like, no. And then I'll show them Justin Thomas and Lexi Thompson, and I mean all of these long hitters that they learned as a kid to use the ground and be an athlete, and their feet are going to move.
They're all over the place.
Yeah.
So let's do one. Let me grab that tee there, thank you, sir. And let's kind of put these pieces together. Because I think that gives a really good blueprint, at least in the beginning, and then people can train that in, of what we're trying to accomplish. My setup pieces, but my downswing follow through, if I can get a feel of what it feels like to open and then push. Yeah. Open and then push. Yeah. And when I'm doing the push on the way through, I'm really doing the uppercut, which feels like my legs are extending. It feels like my pelvis is up, my belt buckle up, butt under, sort of chest up. Yeah. Right? Elbows together, long arc.
Absolutely.
So all of these, even kind of back to this sort of feel in my follow through, is going to help angle attack and speed with the driver as well.
Big time. Right? And we said as we increase speed, remember how we said we might have to increase the pressure between your arms so that they don't fall apart or twist or bend or whatnot. So yeah, it's just like hitting a punching bag. If I hit a punching bag at full speed, well, I better flex a bunch of muscles, otherwise my hand is going to, I'm going to break it. Yeah.
So, all right, let's wrap this up here. We have a ball position that's forward. We've got a tilt, right? Yeah. I have my feet wide. I'm going to get a nice backswing turn. Going to work my sequencing over time. I'm going to feel like the wall's there, and I'm turning as I'm kind of staying on that. And then as I'm working through, I'm going to feel like from here, sort of punching up and through on my follow-through, right?
Yes.
And then, you're not doing that all at once in the beginning. You're kind of breaking that down, focusing on one or two of those pieces, training that in. This is your pattern you're trying to build for a lifetime, right? We're not doing all this at once, but let's see if we can put some of that together and do one more here. Good setup, back behind it, stay behind it. Good, that one felt good too. Yeah.